This is a guest essay by Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, the IDF's international spokesperson for the past 2 years.
2 years ago, at the height of the war, I received a phone call from the former IDF spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari. I was a reservist called up for the war and a new dad. My wife and I had just welcomed our first child, and life was shifting in one direction. And then, with a single conversation, it shifted in another. After a few thorough discussions, the decision became clear. In the aftermath of the October 7th massacre, it was yet again time to choose the country. While hundreds of innocent people were held hostage by a terror organization, young Israelis were risking everything on the battlefield, while residents in our north and south were evacuated. The situation left little room for hesitation. It was clear to me that I should say yes when my country called. So I decided to lace up once again. I stepped into the role of international spokesperson without fully knowing what the next 2 years would bring. I did understand the weight of the responsibility to represent not just the IDF, but the reality of a war that would be misunderstood, simplified, and often distorted. Looking back on my time in the role before passing the baton onto my wonderful successor, I want to share a few lessons from a period that will stand among the most consequential in Israel's recent history. These are the top 5 lessons that stayed with me. Number 1. Transparency above anything. Throughout this role, I always did my best to provide access to information from the source, to go to explicit lengths to understand the full picture, to seek nuance, and to share it responsibly. That included being honest about mistakes, even when it was uncomfortable. The IDF is not a perfect army. No army is. What matters is our capacity to acknowledge and learn from missteps, to investigate, to take responsibility, and to correct. That is not a weakness. It is a standard. Having said that, the IDF has carried out incredible, amazing operations in the last couple of years that were grounded in precision, professionalism, and a lot of hard work. Number 2, in war, complexity is the constant. During my time as international spokesperson, the IDF operated across 7 fronts: Gaza, Lebanon, Judea and Samaria, Yemen, Iran, Syria, and against Iranian proxies throughout the Middle East. No 2 days were the same. What becomes clear very quickly is that nothing is as simple as it looks from the outside. Every decision carries operational, moral, and human dimensions, and every event requires careful analysis and explanation. While international media often compresses complex realities into a single headline, in the IDF, we know that what unfolds on the ground or in the air can only be understood through context and detail. Number 3, here's what we know at this moment. In communications, timing is everything. And when allegations are thrown at the IDF on a daily basis, many of them not true, the pressure to respond quickly is immense. The obvious goal is to understand as soon as possible what happened. But sometimes that isn't possible. If I spoke too soon, before I learned all the details, I lost clarity and risked my credibility. If I took too long, I risked missing the opportunity to deal with a crisis at a relevant time. What I learned was very effective: to speak of what you do know, and it's okay to speak on an initial inquiry and provide further updates later. Number 4, expect the unexpected. In my second week on the job, in April 2024, Iran launched a surprise attack on Israel, firing hundreds of ballistic missiles at our civilian population centers, a blatant violation of the laws of armed conflict. This attack was a sharp shift in reality. It became clear that this is not a linear war. It did not include just one escalation and one sharp ending. There were shifts, adaptations, and enemies that resurfaced in various ways. The only constant is uncertainty, and I learned quickly that we have to be ready for surprises. Always. That requires 2 things. First, to be present in the planning rooms and prepare for a range of scenarios. Second, to be ready at a moment's notice, to shift focus entirely to the development that matters most. Number 5. TikTok isn't just for kids. The battlefield has changed, and there is another front that does not appear on maps. Platforms like TikTok and other social media are no longer just spaces for entertainment. They are arenas where narratives are shaped, where misinformation spreads faster than facts. What began years ago as an app for innocent dances and recipes became one of the largest social media platforms in the world, and importantly, a useful method of attack for those who wish to disseminate disinformation and misinformation against Israel and the IDF. More often than not, the effort needed to refute lies is much greater than that required to produce them. But we have no choice. The IDF needs to adapt to the ever-evolving ways media consumption changes and be there. Bonus lesson: don't take it too personally. It is a reporter's job to be assertive in getting the answers to their questions. Part of my role in this position has been answering those questions as accurately as possible, and not allowing a curt or aggressive tone to throw off my confidence or drag me into an argument. In my role, I had to operate in high-tension situations, with little or no sleep, and keep my composure. My goal was to always be professional, helpful, and friendly. You don't have to agree with everyone all the time, but it's usually more productive to talk it out. It wasn't always easy, and I wasn't perfect, but this was something I strived for and held my team to that standard. My mantra was, don't take it personally. Just stay focused on the facts and speak on them. As a child in Israel, I was told that when I grew up, there would no longer be a need for a big army where everyone needs to serve. We would finally be safe in our state, and boys and girls fresh out of high school would continue their young adulthood and be free to pursue their passions instead of lacing up black shoelaces and fastening green buttons. These past 2 years have taught me that the necessity for the IDF is ever prevalent, but they have also reinforced something else: the importance of holding on to the belief that one day our enemies will accept our existence and push forward for a better future, that they will stop building tunnels and choosing weapons over the needs of their own people. So I will repeat to my children something similar, but different. Hopefully, when you grow up, we will no longer need a large army and mandatory service, but if we need to protect ourselves, we'll all be there. In the last 2 years, I have witnessed the birth of my 2 daughters, symbolizing the continued resilience of the people of Israel and extraordinary Israeli operational successes in all arenas of conflict. This has made even the most challenging and frustrating moments worthwhile. Each day I feel inspired by the brilliant, strong, and hardworking men and women of the IDF. I want to thank all those with whom I worked, and those outside the military who took time to listen, to question, and to understand. Last but certainly not least, part of my decision to return to service was the hostages, the thought of dozens of innocent people held by terrorists in horrible conditions. I told myself, as long as they are not home, I'll do whatever is asked of me. Today, for the first time in over a decade, no hostages are being held in Gaza. It has been my honor to serve,